L is the next logical matchup to compete in Total Drama Island after Light. L and Light have very identical levels of intellect, however their approaches to the outside world, their philosophies, and their behaviors are vastly different. L usually relies on people already knowing he is smart to make his points. If people don't know him, he does an aloof, idiotic persona. As a result, it would be interesting to see if this persona could work long enough for him to win, or possibly even overthrow some major powers in the game. First things first, L will be on the Killer Bass and he will be taking Ezekiel's place. Ironically, I find a lot of similarities between the two and how they conduct themselves, and L would probably take an identical approach to Ezekiel. The only difference being is that it's on purpose. L would fangirl over Lindsay, saying that he's a huge fan of her work. This is not out of character, as L does the exact same thing for Misa in Death Note. Everyone would just assume L is a socially awkward idiot, but L would already identify the power players on the Bass. L's ability to detect the true nature of people is insane in Death Note. He could immediately tell everyone's intentions, who is gonna betray him, and any possible villains. Harold would actually try bonding with L, and L would be kind to him and build a small friendship with him. During the challenge, I think L would rather take the approach of being a coward and he wouldn't jump. L would do a fake pep talk to try and get the Killer Bass back into the game, but let's be real, nothing is gonna fix it. Courtney is gunning for people, and I think L would just be quiet. In canon, everyone seemed pretty down to eliminate Courtney until Ezekiel spoke up, so L really doesn't even need to try this time. His defense for why he shouldn't be eliminated is that he just had first date jitters. He promises he has many more skills to show and a lot more real ones, unlike Courtney's CIT training. This would be enough for him to survive, but a few people, Duncan, would want him gone next. Episode 3, and unlike in the Light scenario, I genuinely think L could win this challenge on his own, and after his performance last challenge, he decides to win it for the Bass. I mean, look at L, this dude hasn't gotten sleep in a week. Another major plot point is that since Light was able to see Heather steal Eva's MP3, L could easily do the same, and L would tell Eva about it and point out Heather took it so that both Eva and Heather will make themselves a target. I could see Heather trying to give it to Beth before she's caught, but L would get in the way of it so she can't, and Heather would get caught. Bass would be rightfully pissed about it, but Eva would get her MP3 and would tell L that they're not friends, but she likes him more than anyone else here. I could even see Duncan being impressed, and L would tell him not to mess with Harold anymore. It's beneath him. Duncan wouldn't like being told what to do, but considering what he did, he agrees to obey it for today. Like I said, L wins the challenge for the Bass, and Gophers eliminate Heather. L is a manipulator, but his number one priority is to get rid of bad people in the game. Episode 4 is the Dodgeball Challenge, and Bass annihilate Gophers. L would be willing to wake Duncan up, but I doubt it matters, as Eva would want to kill every Gopher after the MP3 debacle. The only people L wants to keep is DJ, Bridget, Duncan, Harold, and Eva. Everyone else is too stupid to be useful or just annoying to him. Nothing really to say. Noah leaves because he's a failure. Episode 5 is a talent contest, and L would have a huge desire to make himself look bad in this challenge. L would try singing, but it would be so bad everyone would kinda just be like, yeah, L, we'll get back to you on that. Harold ends up going for Killer Bass, so they win, but Gwen's diary isn't read in this timeline. Justin probably still leaves, but just because nobody has spoken to this dude, and it's hard to keep someone who hasn't spoken since episode 1. Episode 6 is the camping challenge, and L would let Katie and Sadie be removed from the group only because he really doesn't care about Katie and Sadie, so he will view it as a worthwhile sacrifice. Katie leaves as a result. I don't think L does much this episode. Episode 7 is the Phobia Factor challenge, and I could easily see L lying about his fear. He'd probably say he's scared of the Grim Reaper and he'd lose the challenge on purpose. Now there are two scenarios in my head. One where he helps Tyler overcome his fear and one where he doesn't. I'm leaning towards doesn't only because he gives zero about Tyler. I doubt anyone is gonna hold it against L for being scared of death straight up, so Tyler leaves. I could actually see a nice scene where Eva has to face her fear and L gives her a pep talk. Eva in this timeline isn't nice by any means, but she is way more chill compared to episode 15 Eva. Episode 8 is Boney Island, and yada yada, Beth Curse ruins the Screaming Gophers, Killer Bass win. This challenge only really allows Eva and L to talk more, which would be nice for their friendship. Izzy goes still. Episode 9 is way more interesting because unlike in canon, there's no divide going on the Screaming Gophers. Cody has no way to get the barbecue chips in this timeline either, so he doesn't get mauled by a bear. L would be a deer and would be just as good as DJ at being one, but DJ does get hit by Beth since Heather isn't there to ruin her shot. Man, this is actually really tough with Elle and Duncan not being caught for bass, but I can't see any of the deer on Gopher not being caught. As a result, Gophers lose, and at elimination, it's between Lindsay and Owen, and I think Owen gets the boot here since he spent the entire time hunting and didn't catch one deer. Also, he threw urine onto himself. At least Cody fans can be happy for a minute. Episode 10 is the cooking challenge. Elle would be willing to cook the dessert since he's the only one who really knows about dessert and would work on it with Duncan. Beth still has the Boney Island totem. Someone, probably Gwen, would ask what that totem even is after the loss, and Beth would say it was from Boney Island. All this to say, goodbye Beth. Episode 11 is the trust building challenge. Just like in the Light scenario, Jeff would give Bunny to Elle since Elle is way better at this stuff and he'd agree, so no dead Bunny in this timeline. Bass would lose the first part to Gwen and Lashana, Bridget and Jeff would win the second part, Sadie would assault Elle in the third part, Lindsay would let Cody down in the fourth part while Harold would catch Eva, and finally DJ and Jeff would win the challenge for Bass since they wouldn't take off the blindfold. Gophers are just hurting in this timeline, and you know who else is hurting? Lindsay for poisoning Trent and harming Cody. Episode 12 is Chef's Boot Camp. Eva has better strength, but that doesn't correlate to stamina at all, so she wouldn't beat Gwen. Elle would definitely be able to beat Gwen, but he'd throw the challenge intentionally so he wouldn't be too big of a threat in others' eyes, plus they have the numbers to lose. Originally, Eva or Harold's names would be thrown out, but Elle would fight this and end up convincing them to vote off Sadie instead since she's useless. Episode 13 is the Extreme Sports Challenge. DJ and Trent go for the first part, and Trent still hits the ground because DJ pushes him. Lashana still wins in the second part, and instead of Lindsay going for Screaming Gophers, Cody would go and Gwen would drive. Duncan and Harold still go for Killer Bass. Killer Bass would still lose since Cody was determined, and Gwen would show her boobies since it's a canon event. Harold and Duncan are the targets, and the question is, can Elle get a fourth vote? And honestly, I think it's more than possible. Bridget in episode 17 puts Duncan's name up for elimination, so it's very possible for Elle to convince Bridget to vote Duncan and not tell Jeff or DJ. Episode 14 is the Brunch of Disgustingness, and in the original there was an even amount of girls and guys. Chris would ask girls to pick one guy to join them, and Eva would ask for Elle. This would be great since even Elle realized that the girls are much more stacked than the guys in this challenge. If you think this is contrived, fine, guys lose badly, but to keep morale high and to let Elle get more time with Eva, he will join the girls and will win the cruise with them. Unlike in canon, the girls are actually getting along a bit. Sure, Eva and Lashana butt heads, but it's nothing Bridget, Gwen, and Elle can't solve before it becomes a real problem. The real issue now is that the guys are worried about Elle betraying them. Harold would create a guys alliance after the guys lose, and Cody would agree initially but be worried since he really likes Gwen, and Trent has similar concerns since he loves Gwen. Episode 15 has Courtney and Izzy coming back, and Courtney is basically gonna be like Eva, completely unhinged. She would do really well, but Lashana wins the challenge in the end. Goodbye, Courtney. Maybe next time you will be plot relevant, but I doubt it. Episode 16 is the famous challenge where the only thing that matters is who gets Chef's Key. Since he's the main character and there's no real antagonist to give it to, Elle gets it, and he's just as smart as Heather if not massively more intelligent, so he can find a way to get it. Harold's Guy Alliance and the Girls Alliance are finally butting heads now. Guys want Eva gone, girls want Harold gone. Elle is being pulled by both sides, but Elle would tell Cody and Trent to think who will be next, Lashana, Izzy. Eventually it'll be Gwen. They try to argue that they can overthrow the other guys when that happens, but Elle would know that that's just cope and would join the girls to vote off Harold. Elle would tell Harold that he was an amazing contestant, he just couldn't join with the other guys, and Harold says that he agrees. He knows they would butt heads at Final 7, if not even sooner. Episode 17 is the hide and seek challenge, and I think Elle would throw this challenge to form an alliance with DJ, Jeff, Eva, and Bridget since the other Gophers can now team up freely. Lashana wins this challenge, and after pleading his case to Izzy to vote out Gwen since it would be a very boring final 3 if things go the way that they are, she agrees to help and Gwen is eliminated. Episode 18 is the bike challenge, and just like every other time, Elle throws the challenge to avoid looking like a threat. To keep things interesting, just like last episode, DJ is last due to being too cautious and gets eliminated. Episode 19 is the horror movie challenge, and when the real killer emerges, Elle would go into actual police mode and tell Eva to stand back, he will take care of him. Eva says not to worry and kills the psycho killer. Eva would be very flattered about Elle wanting to help her though. Now there wouldn't be an auto elimination since none of the cast would have eliminated themselves. There's really only one target here and that's Lashana. She's won a merge challenge already. Episode 20 is just a reward challenge, so pick your favorite since Gwen isn't here. And who are the main targets? Elle would consider voting off Jeff, but when he gets pushback from Bridget, he would be like, oh, I guess you're right, and wouldn't press anymore. Trent would be eliminated since, let's be real, who remaining is going to stand up for Trent besides Cody? Episode 21 is the Tri-Arm Triathlon. Eva and Jeff, Bridget and Izzy, and Elle and Cody are the teams. Eva and Jeff win part 1, Eva and Jeff win part 2, since Eva would beat up any creature on Boney Island. During this part though, Cody would want to talk about not being voted off next, and Elle would probably be like, hypothetically, how would you feel about getting rid of Bridget? I've been thinking, Bridget and Jeff are together. It would be quite troublesome if they make it to the final 4 and vote together. Cody says he was thinking the same thing, and Elle says he doubts that. Part 3, Cody and Elle win, and either Chris gives the immunity to both Eva and Jeff and Cody and Elle, or he decides to just give it to Jeff and Eva and discredit the achievements of Elle. I would think he would do the former, honestly, but it doesn't matter since Elle could get Izzy in on this, and they vote Bridget while the other 3 vote Cody. Now, Eva would not betray Bridget. The reason being is because she stands up for her girls, so she wouldn't do that. The tiebreaker will be a mini triathlon of all 3, and whether it's Cody or Izzy in it, both of them would be able to beat Bridget. Episode 22 is the episode where Katie and Sadie get to decide who leave, and they're 100% saying Jeff's name. Don't even humor me with the other 4. Episode 24, because we skipped 23, it is filler. Eva and Izzy would be teamed up against Cody and Elle, and I could easily see Elle not trying so that his team would lose. The reason why will be clear next episode. Cody would get eliminated since Elle has been way more courageous and stronger than Cody this season, so if Chef decides Cody goes, if it's a vote, Cody goes. Cody did great though this season. Episode 25 and Elle would be in a tough situation normally, but Eva and Izzy would both be wanting Elle to go farther since not only do both parties like Elle more than each other, but also because Elle in their minds is way easier to beat. Now Eva will put up the best fight we've ever seen from her, but Izzy is Izzy. Elle would only get either physical pain challenges or embarrassing challenges, nothing too life-threatening, especially with Izzy volunteering to take every dare Elle gets. In the end, Elle tells Eva he was happy she made it so far. He wasn't sure at the start, but she did good. The finale is here. Izzy fans are Heather, Owen, Duncan, Katie, Sadie, and finally Courtney. Everyone else is an Elle fan. This would be the toughest possible matchup for Elle, and he genuinely need all his fans to help him to win this. In Elle's and probably the canon ending, Justin tries to distract Izzy. She wouldn't be, as she's done playing this game, and she wants to win, but Owen, Katie, and Sadie would stop moving and block Izzy from getting in long enough for Elle to steal the win from her. A chopper would fly down to pick Elle up, and he'd tell everyone that it was fun. He would also look at Duncan and tell him to stay out of trouble before being taken back to Japan since another investigation needs his expertise. But what did you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and I hope you all have the day you deserve.